I don't think that's him. All right, let's go. Okay, we're going to get started. Let's see. Clerk Vorva, where are you, Clerk Vorva? There he is.
No, that's not him.
Yeah. All right, Clerk Vorva, when you're ready, we'll need a roll call, please.
Trustee Stewart.
Here.
Trustee Monahan. Here. Trustee Kermy.
Here.
Trustee Buckley.
Here.
Clerk Forba here. Treasurer Dorshevitz.
Here.
Supervisor Heisey.
Here.
Somebody just
We
leaned
have
against the
a,
lights.
we have a
Don't lean up
quorum.
against
Sir,
the
you're leaning
lights.
against
You in the green
The
shirt?
green
You're
shirt?
leaning up against the lights. Well,
Well, you just turned them off. Turn them
Back
on.
on.
The top buttons are on.
They're kind of awkward.
There's more.
Yeah, there's more.
The second one
they're hard to do.
closest
Yeah.
to me.
They're hard to.
The second one, you
gonna
need to
have to
push in and hold it. There you go.
Don't touch it.
Yeah,
Don't
just
lean that way.
Don't lean. Don't touch that wall. All right, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Stewart, you're already ready to go. Let's go.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ready, front.
Okay. Need a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move for the approval of the agenda for Tuesday, July 11th, 2023.
Motion's made by Clerk Vorba. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Monahan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approval of the consent agenda. Comments, questions, concerns?
We need to take D1B off because we need to vote the people, Dorshevitz and Monahan shouldn't be voting on that. They should be abstaining for those.
E1.
The
That's the
meeting,
meeting
27th.
minutes.
Tuesday, the 27th?
I was out sick.
Yeah. So B, they need to not vote on.
Right.
But we can do it, they just can't vote on it.
Yeah, but if you approve the consent agenda completely,
It includes
it
it.
includes that.
Got it.
So let's
that's
just
one
take
of
that
the-
off separately.
We'll remove that B until after.
1B is in boy.
Yeah.
We got it.
D1B, we'll move that till after the other.
Okay, and then I have a couple of questions about some other items in there, reports and things. Ready?
Yeah.
Fire Chief Conley. We're doing a lot of mutual aid to places like Wayne and Westland, Northville Township that have 2 to 3 times our local tax rate. Please, is a number 3 a medical? Is that what it means? On page 42 where it gives the mutual aid responses? Is that the code?
I don't have the same numbering that you do. 321, 321's a medical. More than likely it was probably a medical we went there for.
Okay, so they don't have, Canton and Northville don't have private ambulance like we do, so we need to mitigate that a little bit because that seems to be getting to be a big number in my opinion. Fire chief, no, police chief. Well, okay, we'll go to, then we'll come back to him. What is the purpose of the MITC board Harless document in here, the memorandum?
That is in response to various questions that were raised by the board and the public at the previous meeting. As you know, Mr. Harless could not attend that meeting due to an unforeseen circumstance. So I asked him to, I emailed all of you board members to let him know if you had any additional questions. I don't know who may have responded to him. And then the memo itself is for, for the board's edification and also for the public domain.
Okay, because it kind of it was a little contradictory, but to what we heard or whatever. I wish in the future, we got to have him here for this stuff. And then he needs to put a phone number on documents.
I've provided you with his contact information.
But it was just an
Happy to
email,
do
right?
so again.
It was just an email. I don't
Okay.
think his phone was there.
Okay.
Phone is, the complex stuff is easier to talk about than try to write
Okay.
about. Chief Nytel, any timeline on when we may revise or some tweaks to the police report?
We have been currently working on it. Supervisor Felt, myself, and Assistant Chief Kudrow. We plan on adding a couple sections, including our community engagement, as well as investigative summaries, but we're currently working on that.
So I urge you to do some benchmarking, either from around the departments around the area or around the country that may have some ideas. Take a look at their reports, so you don't
Yeah,
have to invent the wheel.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Copy shamelessly.
Yep, no, we have, and we're looking to put together a solid product with those additions on there, yes.
All right, great. I'm done.
Okay, let's vote on the consent agenda minus item D1B. Is there a motion?
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move for the approval of the consent agenda minus D1B.
Okay, motion's made by Clerk Vorba. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Buckley. Let's take the roll on this because we do have a
Yes.
roll call item.
Yeah. Supervisor Heising.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, very good. And now we will vote on item D1B, the regular meeting minutes of June 27th, 2023.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move for the approval of the consent agenda D1B, which is the regular meeting minutes for June 27th, 2023.
Okay, motion's made by Clerk Vorba. Is there a second? Second by Treasurer Dorchevitz. Mr. Clerk.
Well, no,
please.
he
Can't do
Oh,
it.
he can't. I'm sorry. I saw your mouth move, so.
That was.
I'll give it to
her.
That was
She's a great ventriloquist. I'll give it to Trustee Buckley.
Okay. Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Clerk Vorba, yes.
Okay, very
Treasurer,
good.
no, Supervisor Heising.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, very good. Next up is public comment, limited to 3 minutes. I do have my timer on here tonight. I just want to make it very clear, first of all, thank you everybody for coming. There is no horse track vote tonight. There is nothing on our agenda involving Northville Downs, horses, racetracks, or anything of the sort. So I just want to make that very clear. The agenda for this meeting was posted last Friday morning around 9 a.m. on our website and our Facebook page. And the trustees received their hard copies of the agenda at their homes on Thursday afternoon. If you'd like to know more about what's coming up on an upcoming agenda, please feel free to call my office and we'll do our best to tell you what we know at that time. Again, if you have any questions on the agendas, you can also sign up on our website. You can sign up and get copies of all of the agendas of all of our meetings sent directly to your home so that you can know what's going on ahead of time. So I also just want to comment on the status of negotiations with Northville Downs. As you may know, there is both a planned unit development, which was approved by the Planning Commission twice unanimously earlier this year. That document is a contract between the township and Northville Downs, and that is still under negotiation right now between the administration here and the attorneys and consultants and engineers for Northville Downs. A planned unit development, again, is like a contract between the township and Northville Downs, and it provides for other amenities such as, right now we're talking about a pathway, soccer fields, pickleball courts, and it also deals with more mundane issues such as lighting, parking, ingress, egress issues, and things of that nature. We're also looking to do what's known as a community benefit agreement, which would be a document that would outline other services that they would provide for us, such as events, concert venues, things of that nature, and also hopefully funding for additional public amenities. And this was all outlined, has been outlined previously at the last 2 Planning Commission meetings where this item was taken up. So again, I just want to brief everybody on that because I know there's a lot of interest in that issue. We're going to start with public comment, and public comment is limited to 3 minutes. That's pursuant to the Michigan Open Meetings Act and also our bylaws. I keep track on my phone here, and an alarm will go off, so please be respectful of that. Also, pursuant to our board rules, There is no sharing of time or yielding time to somebody else like you would see in Congress or in a more formal legislative body. So I just want to keep that in mind as well. Now, when people come up to the podium, I think, Jerry, there's a sign-in sheet. All we're looking for would be to spell your name correctly and just give us your township or city of residence. We don't need addresses. We're not looking for addresses. So we just want to make sure that you just spell your name so that we can read it and give us your address. Okay, anything else I can think of, Jerry?
Yep.
Okay. That being said, we have public comment at the beginning of the meeting and at the end of the meeting as well for 3 minutes each, and I will take whoever wants to come up first.
And if you could please, if you could please just sign your name, so our secretaries have trouble trying to spell everybody's. We're not, no, we're not till you start yelling.
I'll say it too. Name's Dale Bernhardt, been here since 1981. And I want to discuss the racetrack. We won't call it a racetrack, we'll call it a gambling facility that happens to have a racetrack attached. Mr. Heise, you have stated in numerous documents that this is political. I want you to know that there is nothing political about it that is not true. And actually commend you in that you're able to pull in all the political parties of this township together in opposition of this racetrack. So thank you very much for that. The other thing I want to discuss that I tried a couple weeks ago that it was not answered was, what is MITC? And again, does MITC have zoning authority? And you wouldn't answer that question, and it was given to your Mr. Bennett, your lawyer, who didn't answer that either. And the reason that I want to know this is because the public and businesses need to know what authority is going to rule what maybe they want to build. If they build something on a site, and then the board comes up and says, well, you know what, I'm going to put a strip joint right next to that. Okay, I want to know, and it's in an MITC area. This is 800 acres of MITC that the parcel 11 is on, which is the gambling facility. So what kind of authority does MITC have in keeping businesses in or out of that area?
The MITC is a brownfield authority created by state law. It is a joint brownfield authority that is operated by Plymouth, Northville Township, and the state of Michigan. It was created in 2018. The zoning on both sides of 5 Mile is light industrial, and the subject of the racetrack is what's known as a planned unit development, which are allowed in virtually any zoned area within the township.
That it is supposed to add flexibility. It doesn't add a new entity to zoning. It is not gambling, is not in light industrial, and you're trying to use a PUD to make a new entity.
The purpose of a planned unit development is to provide for development that would otherwise be unique to an otherwise zoned area. We've used PUDs in residential areas, in commercial areas, and industrial areas.
I understand that. And again, that's supposed to make enhancements to current,
Yeah.
okay? It is not for that purpose. But let me move on,
Well,
okay?
so the matter was reviewed twice by the Planning Commission, approved unanimously, and recommended by our planning consultant.
Doesn't matter, you've used PUDs before, and again, I don't think that they're valid the way you've used them, so I don't care if you've used them before, I don't think they're accurate. Okay, so let me move on, and this is going to be a history lesson.
We have a lot of people who wish to speak tonight, sir, so I need everybody gets 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll make this quick. Wayne County just put $35 million back in 2008, a racetrack at Metro Airport. It went belly up. They lost all the money, and so did Huron Township. We stand to also lose money.
Okay, thank you. I need somebody else. It's going to be a long night, so I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to speak.
Hi, Janet Wilson. Hi, my name is Janet Wilson. I thank you all for, I'm sorry.
Sign in?
I do, yeah, she's got it.
Okay, just.
Want me to- oh, sorry.
Just want to make sure
Thank
that we're.
My name is
What
Janet
happens is
Wilson.
people
and-
call up and say, you didn't spell my name right, so we're trying to just get the names, we don't.
Make it easier for the recording secretary.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And I'm a resident here in Plymouth. 3 of my children have businesses here in Plymouth. I am a local French teacher. I've lived here for 30 years. I moved here because of what the community was and how I expected it to be. A racetrack and anything like that is not part of what I want to see in my future for my kids and my family. And that's all I have to say. I'm totally against it, and everybody I know is against it as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Who's next? Mr. Pine.
Okay, you ready? I'm Bill Pine from Trailwood. My purpose tonight is to put traffic data associated with the racetrack proposal in perspective. I spent my career in manufacturing. When I was a kid, there was a joke in the office about what 1 + 1 was. One of the folks was a choir director. He sang a couple verses. One of them was an MBA. They had 3 charts and 8 spares. One of them was a consultant, and they said, "What do you want it to be?" Your traffic study sounds a lot like that. Could I ask by a show of hands, how many of the people on board have read the traffic study?
We vote through our official.
No, how many people have read the
official
traffic
vote.
study, Kurt?
I'm not privy to answer that. I mean,
That's a no, thank you, okay.
we don't do show of hands by, we're
No,
not,
that's a no, thank you.
we're not, seals.
So you're basically ignorant of what was in the study. Do you know how many direct Plymouth Township data points are in the study?
I would have to refer that to our engineer.
I'll tell you, I'll save you
I'm
the
not-
trouble.
I'm not an engineer,
I'll save you the
not an
trouble.
engineer,
I'll
so-
save you the trouble. There are a few data points from Northville from 2020. There are a few data points from MDOT from 2017. There are 0 direct Plymouth Township data points. Okay, so you don't know that the traffic study includes nothing on underlying capabilities of Ridge and 5 Mile. This was an issue of some concern to the landfill a couple years ago when you talked about it in quotes in the rock. The problem has only gotten worse in years since then. You don't know it includes nothing about the massive new automotive supply warehouse being built across the street from the proposed racetrack. Based on my experience, this facility will have significant heavy-duty tractor-trailer and medium-duty straight truck traffic. You don't know it includes nothing about the Meyer facility, and I understand that they have significant traffic identified, and it looks like it may happen again based on your words. You don't know that it includes nothing about the new charter school being built down the road. You've talked about soccer, pickleball, and music performance, fireworks, and other community activities being pursued at the proposed racetrack. Do you know that the study includes nothing about the impact of these activities? Have you considered the current traffic congestion today, before these activities on Ridge? There are photographs in the community that other people have put up that show what the status is. Fixing the roads doesn't fix congestion. I know you got $10 million, thank you, but that does not fix congestion. Finally, when I sat in the audience at one of your unanimous planning commission meetings, I sat with 2 of my manufacturing friends, and numbers that were cited in the consultant study made no sense. Now, most of you guys, with the exception, I think, of Trustee Kermit, don't have any manufacturing experience, so that may not mean anything to you, but that's significant. Your best, and these are some of the words that are actually in the study, your traffic study can best be characterized as assumptions based on estimates driven by prognostications. It's essentially a make-believe study. You're basing your approvals on an approval based on a make-believe study. As Benjamin Disraeli famously said 150 years ago, there are lies, damn lies, in statistics. I think you'd be comfortable with your study. In closing, I would be personally embarrassed to approve anything that had no current data, huge gaps in the analysis, no discussion of alternatives, and 0 community input.
Okay,
If you guys, I'm one sentence. If you guys approve this, it would be ignorant, irresponsible, arrogant, and an abdication of your stewardship duties to the township residents, your bosses.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Bob, you may know the answer to this, or Jeremy, who paid for the traffic study to be done?
Well, I am David Mashley.
No, hold on.
Wait a minute. So who paid for the work?
The original traffic study was completed by Fishbeck, who was employed by the racetrack. We then review. We also have professional traffic engineers that were pre-qualified by MDOT. We review those traffic studies and identify any mishaps or anything that
So you
isn't
reviewed
in
it?
alignment. Correct.
Yeah, okay. All right, sir, you're on.
Okay, my name is David Mashley, and I live in Rolling Oaks on the north side of North Territorial between Beck and Ridge Road. I've been living in Plymouth for 46 years. I never seen anything like this before, never. So, I'm engineer. I worked at General Motors for 41 years. The last 10 years, I was the manager for assembly automation worldwide. Our job was to build with suppliers automation to build the transmission. The two most important requirements was safety of the employees and quality of the employee's life and the business. So, when I look at what we are doing over here, our engineers were responsible to follow the direction and the requirements of the corporation to make sure nobody's injured. If you deviate from that and you knowingly do something wrong, you will be fired and you could face jail time if there's a lawsuit. Now, safety is the top priority. And I believe that you people ignore both safety and quality of work life in our township. Because there is no safety in this program. A few weeks ago, I attended the meeting for the planning committee, and the consultant that you guys hired said that if we have high-tech companies, there will be many more people in traffic than having the racetrack. Number one, there is no basis for that. Most people like to work at home now. And Mr. Pine showed that that's not true. That report submitted to you is false, and I talked to the guy who did it, and I'm ashamed to have somebody that we hire do such a report. Now,
Okay, we need you to wrap it up. Wrap
yeah,
up
I
your-
finished first.
I'm just asking you to wrap up your comments. Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, safety. He discussed going through 5 Mile Road. Oh, he forgot North Territorial. North Territorial may have 2 churches at both ends. How many of you live north of North Territorial?
Sir, we appreciate your time here tonight. We appreciate you coming out, but we have other people who would like
You're
to speak.
taking my time.
Pardon me?
I'm just presenting things that you didn't do.
Okay, thank you.
You're dealing with companies, you're hiring consultants, and you're paying them
Okay, all right.
to give you some BS.
Thank you, sir. Have,
And it's time to stop.
Okay.
There is consequences for that.
okay.
There is consequences.
Thank you for coming out
Because we're
tonight,
not
sir.
taking care of these citizens.
Okay, we need the next person. We have another person who wishes
Also,
to
you want to
speak.
put a sports arena over
We
there.
have another person
Let
who
me
wishes to
finish.
speak.
You
No, I've
keep
given you a lot
interrupting
of
me.
time here, sir.
You want to put a soccer field. I was the vice president of the Soccer Association in Michigan.
Okay, we have another person who would like to speak, and probably a few
Listen,
more behind him.
you
I
got me
appreciate you
taking my
coming out
time.
tonight, sir. Thank you very much. If the
I
next
know a
gentleman
lot
could
about
come
soccer.
forward, that
That's
would be
the
great.
last thing I want kids
Okay,
to
sir,
be
thank you.
close to a casino.
Thank you.
And you know, a horse track will never run
It's time to
without
let
a
the other
casino.
person speak, sir.
You know.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
false.
Thank you for coming out. How about the next person?
Good evening, everybody. How you doing? I'm probably one of the very few here, but I'm in favor of the racetrack. And I'll
Okay,
tell you
I would
why.
just ask, sir, that you address us.
Yes, okay, yeah, good. Thank you. I'm in favor of this racetrack, a couple different reasons. One, and the fine sir kind of alluded to it, but he was incorrect on a couple of the things that he said as far as safety and people getting fired. Northville Downs right now, you don't see strip clubs next to it. Does anyone?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
You gotta
You're right.
address the board.
The crime that I hear people talking about, Northville Downs doesn't have, it's non-existent down there, right? So those concerns that are being fed to the public are incorrect. What is correct is that Northville Downs is a union employer. When is the last time that this township had an employer come into town with a pension, union health care fully paid? You don't see that anymore. You don't. It's not existent. Northville Downs has that. That same owner is going to do the same thing here because they negotiate the contract with Teamsters Local 337. So you have employees 40, 45, 46 years, like the fine sir, retiring from places like Northville Downs. So I just want to make sure that the correct information is out there, that a lot of this concern and I'll just say concern is misguided.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I would also ask that everybody please silence your cell phones. I've heard some things going off out there. Okay, guys, please. Hey, we can't have this. We cannot have this, okay? Seriously, cannot have this. Cannot have this. Yes, ma'am, let's go.
Good evening. My name is Dorcas Smith, and I have been a Plymouth Township resident for 25 years. My thoughts on this: I'm really upset about this gambling casino. There was a racetrack on Middle Belt, and they threw it out. There was a racetrack in Northville, and they threw it out. And what I'm thinking is that they're going to put a racetrack in Plymouth Township, and down the road they'll throw it out. And what will stay will be a gambling casino. I don't want Plymouth Township to be known as a place that you can come gambling. That's not what Plymouth Township is about. So this is an ethical concern that I have. We don't need gambling in Plymouth. If you need to go gambling, you can go downtown Detroit, or you can go over to Windsor. Did you see what happened to Windsor when they first got the gambling? It just kind of looked dirty and scruffy. And you walk into a gambling casino and they're smelly, and there's cigarette smoke, and it's not a very pleasant place to be. And that's not what I want for Plymouth. So I would very graciously ask you to very, very seriously consider if this is the value, or this is the persona that you want to promote for our beautiful village. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary Ann Adams, longtime Plymouth resident.
Where do you live now?
Ridgewood Hills,
Okay.
right in the, very close
Okay.
to this development. One of the areas you're trying to convince local residents about is this development will have community benefits. You just brought it up. From what has been stated, the community benefit references soccer fields, pickleball courts, and a walkway is something local residents will be able to take advantage of. So the condition of parcel 11 relative to these community benefits is critical, based on the statement by MITC that this parcel was contaminated as follows: arsenic, cadmium, copper, mercury, selenium, and zinc are present in soil at levels above residential cleanup criteria on this parcel. Groundwater is contaminated with cadmium at concentrations greater than its residential use criteria. In the last board meeting, you were asked about parcel 11. Mr. Heisen, you stated that there has been contamination on site that has been cleaned up. The previous developer has already cleaned it up, that being Hillside. I am certain that the Carlo brothers would not knowingly purchase contaminated property and were assured by a baseline environmental assessment that the property was indeed remediated and no longer a risk to individuals using this property. So if the property has already been cleaned up, there should be a report from Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy that says as such. If there was still concern about the contamination on the site, then the Carlo brothers surely would have requested a baseline environment assessment within 45 days of purchasing the property to release them of any liability associated with prior contamination. Since our planning commission did not adequately address this issue for the safety of our children, the residents, and even the horses that could be running on this property, where is the report stating that this property has been properly remediated, when it was done, what was done, and by whom was it done? And what is the current status of the property after said remediation was done? You are not only trying to bring an undesirable, dying business to our community, counting on the state legislature to expand historical horse racing to horse tracks in hopes of saving this industry, but you will be putting our children and anyone visiting this property at risk if this property is not truly remediated. This does not even take into account the air quality and leaching into the area land that the nearby landfill is causing. This is aside from the other contamination this facility will bring to that area because, as I believe, Northville Downs has been fined for improper manure removal, and you are putting at risk all the efforts that have gone into bringing back the Johnson Drain, a tributary to the Middle Rouge River and a jewel to southeast Michigan.
Okay, thank you. If anybody else has any questions on the contamination issue, that is the focus of the memo from Dr. Harless, which is contained in tonight's agenda pack, and that's accessible online if you go to our agenda page. Also, there's an article that came out earlier this week. Brownfield consultant clears up Northville Downs contamination issue, which explains it in plain English. And I'd be happy to give you this copy.
I'd like the report from the state of Michigan.
We would be happy to, if you email my office, I will get you in touch with Dr. Harless, and he can provide you with all that information.
Is he from the state of Michigan?
He is a consultant for the MITC authority.
When Plymouth Township sold that land to Hillside, we paid for a part one. Can we get that, or can I get that?
It's,
Not part one, phase one. We paid for it.
Either Hillside did it or possibly Wayne County.
I thought we did it.
Yeah, we may have. But I mean, we have Harless has all that information.
But that's a piece of data that's here in our house.
Yeah, well, there's.
The phase one.
There's all sorts of stuff. In the phase one, I know we had, I know we even had Mr. Charland work on that one because he advised us of some of the things that went on at that site, so. Just to clarify that though, really, people are confusing parcel 11 with parcel 12, which is unrelated, so. Okay.
Hello, my name is.
11 is what's in the amendment. So
Understood.
if you are publishing incorrect
Okay.
by MITC, then you need to correct it.
Okay, all right.
Hello.
I won't take away any of your time.
My name is Eileen Coleman. I've lived in Plymouth Township my entire life. I'm 60 years old. Mr. Heisey, you and this board of trustees, principal loyalty lies with the residents of Plymouth Township. Every decision you make must consider the people you represent. You will soon make a decision regarding a gambling with a racetrack proposal. It is necessary that each one of you have a proper humility to consider the real consequences of this decision to the people you represent and weigh the risk. Mr. Heisey, you stated to WWJ News Radio 950 that, I quote, "I think it provides a great financial benefit to our taxpayers, and it would be a very exciting entertainment venue for all of us in Wayne County." Mr. Heisey, you do not serve Wayne County. You serve Plymouth Township residents. You have a duty to all the members of this township first and foremost. Perhaps your opinion is that this would be exciting. I would argue that the public does not concur. The members of the public have brought up numerous valid concerns, not disinformation, to this Board of Trustees and Supervisors on many occasions. It is clear that you cannot speak on behalf of the members of this township unless you listen and research the information brought to you at the public hearings by intelligent members of this township. Each board member has a fiduciary responsibility to be knowledgeable about the risks of that gambling brings to a community. I urge each of the members of this board to weigh the valid concerns and exercise great care before making your final vote. You are responsible individually for this vote. You have heard from the members of this community regarding not complying with the master plan, not complying with the MITC, with a loss of high-tech jobs and manufacturing jobs, concerns over the degradation of the character as a beautiful family-friendly township, concerns for lowering of property values, concerns for traffic congestion and safety, drunk driving, addiction, animal cruelty, noise pollution, light pollution, a risk of a 54,000 square foot historic horse racing facility / slot machines, as the Carlo brothers have spelled this out very clearly in their intent. You have the responsibility, all of you, to safeguard the members of Plymouth Township.
Good evening. I've spoken before at the Planning Commission meeting in relationship to traffic, but I'm speaking today on the proposals that were put forth as part of the recreational format for this facility. Eligibility Standard 1 was presented at the PUD meeting. Provide more desirable living environment with housing, employment, recreation, and/or commercial opportunities particularly suited to the needs of the residents of Plymouth Township. That's your eligibility standard, which your consultant said it was met. The entertainment venue is for the benefit of the township. That was said numerous times on radio, television, in the press. There's no contract. You've got a site plan approval, and I've seen this before. Site plans get approved, and then things don't happen the way you thought they should happen. There's no contract for specifics on a multi-use entertainment venue for the benefit of the township. Who is responsible for supervising the use of the soccer fields? The Carlo brothers indicated someone should be. It's private property, and this is going to be a private-public collaboration. Who is going to be responsible for pickleball injuries and all the activity, as we know, happens on a routine basis on those things, and the possible basketball courts, to mention a few. Who will provide first aid and emergency services for the soccer players who happen to be injured on site? Will the Plymouth Soccer Club take on that responsibility? I've coached soccer here for a large number of years, and I know how that handles when we use property. So who will provide the insurance for these activities? The actual event, so the fireworks will gain its own insurance policy for the event. Soccer teams are going to have insurance for those activities, any other activities. Who's going to provide insurance for pathways and any other activities? Eligibility standard number 2, a recognizable material benefit to the ultimate users of the project and to the community. What are we going to look at here from a standpoint of sports and entertainment amenity? The developers said they're going to put some turf grass in the in-zone region of the track. We're going to have soccer practice, but not on Friday, not on Saturday, from April till October. Oh, we practice in November, December, January, February. Sorry, we do that indoors. The racetrack races on those days, and the gambling parlor, and I will not say the word casino because we know we already heard that from legal. The gambling parlor, which is licensed, is in operation from 11 in the morning till 11 in the evening. Where's the parking? We have parking for the site. We do not have parking for the recreational activities. Several deficiencies that were identified.
We're going to have to ask you to wrap it up. You know that.
Safety needed to be addressed. That was a recommendation of your own individuals as far as toxicity and handling animal waste, etc. Traffic, drop-off, bus, oversized parking traffic, and recreational evacuation plan. What is the township's evacuation plan for an injury?
Thank you very much
for your time.
Good evening. I'm Andy McDowell. I live over in the Beacon Hill Estates, and I'm up here just trying to seek some facts and information. So I was curious, how does one join the Planning Commission?
Planning commissioners are appointed by the Board of Trustees. They are recommended by me, and then the board ultimately approves or denies them.
Okay.
Come on, everybody, just chill.
And how many members are on right now? So I think I saw.
Seven.
Okay. Do we have a community master plan?
Yes.
And how is this showing up, this particular area on that master plan?
This area is zoned light industrial with a high-tech overlay.
Okay, do we, for something like this, it seems like a more rigorous master plan should really be vetted. I guess my next question is, what is the next step in the process when it comes to the decision-making on this? And is there a step to receive further public input officially on the record?
Sure. As I stated, I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the meeting, but negotiations continue right now between the township and the Carlo brothers. There are numerous attorneys, consultants, engineers that are all representing both sides, and they're addressing many of the issues that have been raised tonight, frankly, in the PUD and in the community benefit agreement. The next phase in this would be that both the PUD and the community benefit agreement would come back to this body for a final decision.
Okay. And
I do not know when that will be. Negotiations continue throughout the summer, but of course we always comply with the Open Meetings Act. We post our meetings accordingly, and in Plymouth Township at least, our meetings are posted typically on the Friday morning before the board meeting, so you have at least 5 days to review the agenda.
All right, thank you. I guess the last thing is I just strongly urge trying to really reevaluate the master plan and trying to, for PUDs, I think that really should undergo a further rigorous input from the community.
Thank you.
Hello. I have to wonder
if in 2023.
What's your name, please?
Oh, Jesse, sorry, Jesse Swan.
Jesse Swan?
Yeah,
Okay.
my family and I moved here 3 years ago. We could have lived anywhere in the metro area. We chose this area for many reasons, good schools, but the character. 2023, is this the best use of land that we can come up with? They're not making any more land. We've got an electric vehicle revolution, whether you like it or not, it's here. Why not monetize on that? This is not in character with the township. It's not. It's a tax on poor people, is what gambling is. And I don't know. It seems like, I do appreciate that we're not talking about building more houses because we do need to expand the tax base that we have here. But I gotta think there's gotta be a better way. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Linda Hours. I live in Plymouth Township, and never did I think when I moved here I was going to have to become a community activist. Dear God, I've already been here for the billboard. I've been here for Meyer. Now I'm here for the racetrack and whatever you're calling the casino. Obviously, Plymouth Township is an extremely lucrative target for many. However, this community is desirable, upscale, incredible, cooperative, family-friendly, and guess what? We live here. What you do in the surrounding area, surrounding our homes, impacts us, possibly severely. Certainly, this would be the case with the proposed location of the casino racetrack. The increased traffic, lights, noise, congestion would be horrendous for those of us who live within a half mile of this proposed site. I'm already besieged with noise pollution due to the massive construction trucks barreling up and down Ridge Road from 6 a.m. till God knows when. This is feet from my home. There is very little easement. However, should this monstrosity successfully be built, what are you gonna do to Ridge Road? Widen it? Escalate even further my noise level and inevitably destroy what little I have of a backyard? Have continual traffic literally feet from my back door? I live in a lovely community. It's being threatened by all these proposals. Why not move this proposed site west down 5 Mile Road where it is not currently residential? Do not destroy my sanctuary. I live so humbly, so peacefully, and so gratefully in Plymouth Township. I'm begging you, I'm gonna suffer if this goes through. And I am begging you to reconsider and ultimately reject this on behalf of those who have voted you in office.
Thank you.
Good evening, y'all. How are y'all doing? My name is Lily Swan, and I live in Plymouth Township, and I moved here with my husband and my daughter back in 2019, right before the pandemic. And he's right, we could have moved anywhere in the Metro Detroit area. Previous to Plymouth Township, we lived in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is Sin City. And living there for 2 years and the constant flashing lights, you win, and all the things, it's very annoying. And never would I have thought in this picturesque, quaint town of Plymouth Township that y'all would be considering putting that in our community. We moved here because of the school district, but also because we knew it was family friendly. The lady who mentioned the contamination of the groundwater, if you continue with this project, I dare you to drink the water that was from that land at your next meeting and see how you like it, like Aaron Brockovich. I just feel like the greed that is coming from this project is going to, unfortunately, probably drown out everybody's concerns. And if it does go through, just know that you're going to be losing my vote in the next election. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Luann Smolsky. I live in the Deer Creek neighborhood. I just have one question, and it may be naive. I'm not sure why can't we just put this on the ballot for a vote for the people of the
There are procedures for voter referendum. I don't exactly know what every nuance is to that. Maybe our attorney could share some insight, but
Can
otherwise,
we just wait till we can't wait till the next
otherwise, the applications have been filed. The developer is working in good faith with the township on the elements of the PUD and the community benefit agreement. So.
Why didn't we get a vote at the beginning? Yeah.
Okay.
If it had been a zoning change, you could have done a referendum. It's done regularly in the state of Michigan. That overturns township boards and their voting, their zoning change, but this was not a zoning change.
It's not a zoning change.
I can assure you, Bob.
All right,
Oh,
all
yes,
right,
it
all
is.
right.
They did two in
No.
Leelanau County last
Guys,
year.
okay.
No, you're gonna
Yes.
have to produce that.
I'll produce it for
Okay,
you.
guys, okay.
Look, check the Leelanau
Okay,
Enterprise.
okay.
That's not right.
All right.
Yes, it is.
All right.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is, Bob.
No, it's not.
Section 125 of MCL
It's
laws.
not right.
Okay, everybody. Ma'am, you've had.
So I just clarified it, but we'll talk about it again.
Okay. We've eaten right into your time.
I don't need all the time.
I know, I'm just trying to provide a little
I have nothing
levity here.
prepared,
Okay,
but I
go.
just feel so very strongly about this.
We need your name,
Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Margaret Bechtel, and I live in Rolling Oaks.
Okay.
I've lived there for over 20 years. Besides making the township much more busy and much less leafy, like all the other surrounding cities that aren't as nice in townships as ours, I feel so strongly about that, but also I feel extremely strongly about the animal cruelty of horse racing. Anyone says that it's not cruel is either misinformed or they're not telling you the truth. Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Ron Hogue. I live in Beacon Hill. I've been here for 40 years. I have two things I want to address. Today, at the southwest corner of 5 Mile and Beck, there's an empty lot. There have been no police calls to that lot. There have been no fire calls to that lot. There have been no EMS calls to that lot. So it looks as though there's no accommodation for increase in police or fire EMS services. If a year from now, the track goes in, and the same number of people that visited Northville Downs in Northville visit Northville Downs in Plymouth. There will have been 288,000 people over the course of a year. That doesn't include any additional events that are as part of the community benefit. So that means 288,000 is 10 times the population of Plymouth Township over the course of a year. So my question to you is, what is your plan? What is your plan in the event you have, well, let me back up. One of the board members was very upset because people were bringing up crime. But many times police are called for things that have nothing to do with crime. Somebody gets locked out of their car. Somebody loses their wallet is stolen. So in addition to that, 288,000 people over the course of 12 months, what is your plan for emergency services? Is this your plan for emergency services? This looks like it was written by a 6-year-old, seriously. It references in your emergency preparedness, call 911. Is that the answer? So that's something I would like an answer on. What are you going to do about EMS, fire, and police once this is in place? Number 2, the 27th meeting, June 27th, I read from your document, MITC, regarding contamination in parcel 11. A few days later, I got a call from a writer who writes for MI Bets, gaming digital magazine, who asked me where I got the document. So I sent him a copy. Then you just mentioned this evening how the issue of contamination had been essentially straightened out by your consultant. Brownfield consultant clears up Northville Downs contamination. Interesting, because Track's opponents were unwittingly pointing to the wrong parcel of land. Your document says parcel 11. Parcel 12 is a real narrow triangle to the north and east. Your expert, Dr. Harless, says all the contamination was in parcel 12. None of it was in parcel 11. And yet, when we asked you about contamination on parcel 11, you mentioned the previous owner had cleaned it up.
The previous
If there
owner?
was no contamination. Okay. Why would the previous owner clean it up?
Okay, you got me. I mean, it's, the previous owner cleared the site, there was a lot of debris on the site, there was an old hog farm.
So you were wrong about that, weren't you?
There was, I'm not a civil engineer, and I did not read all 68
Hey, you're in charge
pages.
of this project. You're the co-chair of
All right,
MITC.
that's argumentative. All right, thank you. Okay, who's up?
What do we have over here? What do we have over here?
Okay.
Hi, my name is Dennis Picard, and I live at the corner of North Territorial and Napier. I'm close enough to be affected, but far enough away that I might be insulated. But I want to offer a
Well, hold
unique-
on, sir. What community do you live in? You said
Antelope Lakes West.
Okay, and just again, address the board.
Sorry,
I'm
sorry. I want to offer a unique perspective. I decided to stand up and speak 3 minutes ago. Okay, I'm going to have a gamble. I go down to Greektown Casino on a regular basis, and I want to share with everybody my experiences at Greektown Casino over the course of the last several weeks. I've been going for years, and don't even think about it. Over the last 2 weekends, metal detectors have been put out on Monroe Street. Monroe Street is the main drag that people associate with Greektown. And there has been a police presence on foot, a police presence on horseback. Why is all of this happening? And again, I'm not here to draw any conclusions. I'm here to share an anecdote, okay? The reason was that within the last month or two, a security guard at a party store on, on Monroe Street was murdered on the job in the local grocery store. Detroit used to be bad. The casinos made Detroit better. Now it's bad. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Walt Coleman. I'm going for keeping down this one. I've been a township resident for 60 years now, and I have not born here. I find this whole thing becoming rather comical and it's becoming analogous to Hollywood of old. I envision signs advertising the racetrack and that on either side of M14, drawing people from all over and everything to exit right there on Beck to come be part of it. I also find that they won't be coming to Plymouth, they'll be coming to Pottersville. In that, I also want to salute Councilman Kearney for him being our true representative of George Bailey. Yes. He is the only one that really represents us. Moreover, I think of Mark Twain in paraphrasing and saying that whenever you consistently vote with someone, you need to look into your inner self and ask yourself if you're evaluating the situation correctly. I find a lot of these trustees voting in goosestep with the supervisor. That's troubling on so many levels. So, in saying that, there's one last thing I want to leave you with. You people are here for a finite time. You are changing Plymouth forever. You need to take that to heart, and you need to consider yourselves as citizens and representing us. That you are changing the very face of this community because of this. Think long and hard, because we will be on the next election. Well, that's a good segue. My name is Ray Loudon. I live in Trailwoods. I live across the street from Bill Carter. You guys all know who Bill Carter is? We came on board because the last board, we were doing the same thing like Don, you guys are doing. We got rid of every one of them except Mr. Kirby. He's the only one.
Wait.
That was taken.
Wait.
I see as a writer. You know how hard it was to work to get him as a writing elected?
Okay.
We worked our ass off.
Let's focus on the board.
Okay? So this is not what we are elected to do for this community. This is not the direction that we supported you and worked our butts off to get you guys elected and get rid of the last board. We worked hard to do that, and you're just taking us in the wrong direction. This is not where we wanted to go with this. And you know what will happen? There'll be another turnover. And that will happen. It's very easy to do.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, board. I am associated with Plymouth.
We need your name, sir.
My first name is Anton, my last name is Owen Will.
Okay.
I've been associated with Plymouth City and Plymouth Township for the past 50 years. Right now I live in a Beacon Hill Estates. I watched the board of trustees of this township and the city in the past 50 years. Because I'm a businessman and I have a large amount of money. And remarkably, Plymouth managed to stay out of trouble in the past 50 years. You know why? Because somehow you know make the right decision and a smart decision of the future of a lovely community, which Plymouth is my township. This is a desire, right? People like to come and like my property because what you in the past 50 years you guys did and able to keep anything out of any trouble. I used to be a Rotarian because I used to do business in Plymouth. Right now, this decision is enormous. You see, you guys didn't totally something a brand new game. Racetracks, gambling is huge and enormous money. Think about if accidentally this race that ran to a little bit financial stress, because it's always hard to start a new business. Think about what would happen. And by the way, once you approve this, you're not going to be able to touch it ever. Too many lawyers, too much money, too large money. Think about if accidentally they need the money and they sell it for Indian tribes. A state, county, you guys never even know touch it. And that's an enormous difference in this area. They want to come here. They were locked in downtown locally. There was a tiny property. They couldn't do too much harm. By the way, there wasn't too much different story. This could be a totally different story they used to have. And they have enormous money. If an Indian tribe comes in, nobody in the neighborhood is going to touch them. They can do anything they want. And change the atmosphere for the future. I have two eventually this year. And I just love what we have. Please, ladies and gentlemen, don't ruin it. That's going to be up to you. You can make the decision. And you're never going to forgive yourself against it because it doesn't fit here. Casinos, racetracks fits many places, and we have that, that's great. But don't fit in a small community like us. A family community and good schools as well.
Okay. Got it. Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Andrew Miller.
Could you pull the mic toward you a little bit? Thank you.
My name is Andrew Miller. I'm with Plymouth Township, Brampton Avenue. Everybody says that this is going to be a great venue. Have you ever been to a horse racing track? My father-in-law drove me to a lot of them. None of them were fabulous. They were all crappy. Full of desperate people. And you say that, oh, we cleaned up this area. The water table out there is inches from the surface. This isn't a desert where contamination is contained. Over there, contamination is right at the surface and can flow between parcels. So you're putting this soccer fields on a love canal. That's it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bill Smolsky. I live in Deer Creek. And I just had a couple of questions. Heard a lot of people saying, voicing concerns about this. Can you tell me quickly what are the benefits to the community? I've heard about pickleball. I've heard about a concert venue. What are the benefits?
Well, under state law, a horse racing venue does provide what's known as breakage fees to the community. Currently in the city of Northville, that's anywhere from $200,000 to $250,000 a year. Those numbers were higher pre-COVID. So the entire industry is trying to recover, the entire gaming industry is trying to recover from COVID. Of course, the fact that people can now gamble on their phones all day doesn't help the situation. So breakage fees are a major financial benefit that the community gets. That would be, could be over $1 million in the first 4 to 5 years. And there's no strings attached to that. So we also have then the soccer venue, possibly a pickleball venue, and then use of the facilities for other public events. There's going to be a sort of a barn pavilion that's going to be, I haven't even seen the final drawings of it yet, but the preliminary drawings look very appealing in the fact that that could be used for other community events, farmers market sort of thing, and other public events of that nature. So those are some of the events that can be held at the site. Also, within a community benefit agreement, you can also frankly ask for more money, and money that can be used towards recreational opportunities and other amenities for the community. But again, those are all in the subject of negotiations right now, and we'll see where it leads us.
So the breakage fees, would those start to accrue immediately, or is that over several years?
It would accrue, I believe, as soon as basically the first racing events start at the site. It doesn't necessarily have to be a horse race, but it could be the activity that occurs within the building.
Are there any projected costs that will accrue to the community?
A cost to who?
There are new costs associated with this that the community will have to take care of.
You know, any other costs that we would have associated with any new development in the township. We have a hospital over here, we have light industrial, we have commercial, we have retail, and so all of that involves, you know, they pay taxes obviously, but they also receive township services.
Will we be required to escort their cash to the bank?
That is something which which currently occurs at Northville Downs in Northville, but that is more of a pro forma thing, and they also can supply their own security personnel for that purpose.
Thank you.
Okay.
When we're talking about the community benefit agreement, when can we start talking about the draft and the details of that? Can we make it public?
Oops. Well, no, because, I mean, that's a subject negotiations in good faith with the.
So we cannot discuss it yet, what the details are.
That's attorney-client matter between both the township and the developer.
Well, it would be good if it's a community benefit that we talk about the community and what the benefit is.
Well, we've had those discussions as well with our attorney, Chuck, so, in the past.
I know, but it's us that makes the decision, not the
Understood.
attorney.
Well, you'll be getting a copy of that agreement if and when it becomes available.
But after we approve the PUD.
No, the motion of the planning commission is that the two items have to be tie-barred. They have to be done together.
Because on February 27th, we approved the PUD and then gave you authorization to negotiate the community development agreement.
And then it went back to the planning commission as well, so.
They're involved in negotiating community benefit?
No. The planning commission's final motion on this was to approve both the PUD and the community benefit agreement. Is that a fair assumption? You're our representative to that, so anyway, that was the summation from that. Okay, hi.
My name's Judy Garbarino Willard. I live in Plymouth Township. I've been here 35 years. I have some things written down, but as I sit here and listen, my head just fills with unbelievable statements. To the gentleman in Canton, you want a horse track? You're more than welcome to have it. You've got lots of space out there, and talk about a unplanned community that's chaos. To the gentleman in Canton who talks about crime, I have a reliable source that worked around Northville Downs, and yes, there is an increase in crime, and the people that are pulled over and arrested that are coming from that facility. So you can have the whole kit and caboodle. Mr. Heisey, I want to believe that you're vested in our community, but how long were you here when you were all ready to leave and go to the Senate? This is just a hobby for you. You really are not vested in Plymouth Township. You're always looking for that opportunity, and you really don't care about us. And unfortunately, the people that you appointed are in your game. This is your brainchild. When did you come up with this and push this through during COVID? I was a nurse for 48 years and just retired. I followed all the high-cost admissions in the hospitals. Do you know what COVID did to families? How they just tried to keep afloat? Do you know how many people died? How they were devastated trying to keep their kids safe in their jobs? You know, I really would appreciate it. I sat back there and listened to every time you spoke. Please pay attention to us. You're often distracted. The gentleman next to you is often on his phone. I also heard when this racetrack came up, there was someone on the board that said, if you don't like this, I can give you something worse. Wow, you are adult. The day of Donna Reed and Dad coming home telling the family what they're going to get is gone. That doesn't exist anymore. And I want to correct you, Mr. Heisey. This quote hospital over here, that's not a hospital. That's a clinic with an emergency room. Do you know why Henry Ford builds those all over and everybody does? Because they didn't have patients that wanted to go downtown. So they put in an ambulance and then they take them downtown to fill up that hospital. So that's wrong. Get your facts straight. And yes, you may not know things that you admitted to, but you are responsible for this community. You are in charge and it is your obligation to know what is going on with our community and what research has been done or whatever. DRC closed, Hazel Park closed, Windsor closed and abandoned. Northville, 25 years ago, I was there for an event, filthy, chairs broken, we couldn't even sit together. And then stupid me who had never been wanted to go see the horses. Oh my goodness gracious, how appalling. I don't want that in my community. You shouldn't want it in your community, and none of you should want it in your community.
Okay, thank you.
If you are that brave to come up with the brainchild during COVID, do what I always say to my husband when I'm driving around and see graffiti on a high bridge or a building. I say, I wouldn't have the ability to do that. Those are some really, really innovative, brave people. Why don't you be brave and protect our community?
Thank you very much.
May we have a break? May we have a 3 to 5 minute break? Okay. As a practicing lawyer who appears in front of judges for 45 years in Wayne County, you don't sit here for 2 hours without a break.
Take a break. You want?
I would like a 3-minute break.
You want a break?
And when you go to sports,
I guess it's going to have to.
All right. Okay, we're gonna take a break.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Take his break. Let's keep going. What are we doing? Come on, let's keep going.
All right. Keep going?
Yep.
What's the consensus? You want to keep going?
Yeah.
Anybody got a cup for him?
No, he's good.
Oh, that's not nice.
All right, that's not nice. Okay, let's go.
You should just go to the bathroom.
Chuck Hamilton, and I've lived in Plymouth Township.
What's your name, sir? I didn't hear you.
Chuck.
Chuck Hamilton?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hamilton.
okay.
And I've lived in the township for 44 years. And this is a fairly new experience for me. And it's been a disappointing one. I have been to township meetings before in the past over the 44 years. What I've observed has been just rocked my world. I mean, it has been such a shock because you, with the exception of Chuck, the group of you, clearly, you can see my shirt. I wear this with pride because I love my community. You are an embarrassment to my community. This having to go to the news to get the people we hired to listen to us, that's unacceptable. I taught 5, 6, and 7-year-olds my entire life, and I taught them that no means no. We have said no. No matter what sneaky business you did to get it to this point, it needs to not happen. You have destroyed the Ann Arbor Road Hagerty area. And it's going to take the $10 million that the state gave us to fix that. And it's going to cost 25 million to fix the road. So who's going to be stuck for the 15 million? Us? Who's going to pay the 15 million? That's extra to fix 5 million. Are you not going to answer? So you're not going to answer?
5 Mile Road is a Wayne County road.
Well, you said that the state was giving us 10.
Yeah.
But in the paper, you said it would probably cost 25 or more. That doesn't even mention Beck with the railroad tracks. I don't know. I'm going to have to change doctors. There's no way I'll ever be able to get off M14 to Beck. And that'll have to be fixed too. I want to know if any of you are benefiting now or will you promise anything in the future? I want it on record. It's because the upsetting part is you should be on our side. We should be fighting someone else, not the people we hired to do a job that fit our town. You have already destroyed the quality of life for people all on the east side. We can't just, I used to be able to get up in the morning and say, oh, well, I'll run and go get a gallon of gas for the lawnmower. It's a planned event now to go get gas in the gas tank. That's appalling.
Okay.
You're a disgrace to this community if you
Thank
live
you.
here.
Thank you.
I haven't heard from any of you until tonight.
Hey.
Excuse me a minute. I've maintained an office on Main Street for 38 years, a first floor office. Now, please, I haven't heard from any of you. When you go to court, now wait a minute, wait a minute. When you go to court, you have to prove something.
Okay, John.
And the reason we pay judges so much is because listening is hard work, but I'm willing and ready to listen.
Okay, John, all right.
But this meeting is out of control.
Okay, John.
This meeting is out of control.
John. Okay, you're on. You're on.
Good evening. I really appreciate all my fellow Plymouth Township residents.
Ma'am,
My
once
name
again, you have
is,
to address the board, okay?
I was just acknowledging my neighbors. My name is Dr. Alice Rainville. My PhD is in public health. I appreciate all the comments that have been made this evening, and I'm in agreement that we do not need a racetrack facility. So gambling does attract crime. The traffic will be horrendous, the lights, the noise. Everyone here has brought up so many valid concerns this evening, and I really hope you're listening. We talk about soccer and pickleball. Those are great family activities. Family brings families together. Physical activity is great for the community, for families. Physical activity is an important part of public health. But gambling is not family friendly. And gambling is a public health problem. Gambling does not promote the public health. In fact, it does the opposite. You can stop the negotiations. It's not too late.
Okay. Hearing none, then I think we'll move on to item F1. This is the Eagle Grant and Loan. Okay, all right.
Oh my gosh, well, come on up then.
Come on up.
How would we know?
Come on up.
Hi, good evening. I didn't plan on speaking at all.
We just need your name.
Sorry, my
I'm
name's
sorry.
Judy Hart, and I'm in Plymouth Township in Ridgewood West. My husband and I just came up here because we had really no idea that this was going on. We kept hearing kind of little peeps. I apologize, I'm not on social media. We have two teenagers, and we moved here almost 13 years ago. And had there been a racetrack at that time, we wouldn't have moved here. That would have been an absolute no-brainer for us when we were deciding between Novi, which seemed a lot more congested than Plymouth Township, Northville, which I love it. It just didn't seem quite as grounded and just the type of people that lived around here. It took us 5 years to move from the east side, as well as drag my parents over here from the east side. And we felt like we just found the absolute perfect spread of people as well as place. A racetrack would not have been, and the gambling part of that to the racetrack, whether it's a casino or not, the horse racing part would not have entered our mind as a positive attribute for a young family to come here. I want to thank, and I'll address you, I want to thank all of our Plymouth Township residents because I'm seeing very few people who seem like they might have children my age, students, and I don't think that, to address the gentleman, the lawyer who said that you're just hearing from us now, it's because the information sometimes takes a little bit of time. I understand that you might feel very personal. Having been president of our district's parent council for 3 years, I understand that it is very hard sometimes to take criticism when you have planned something. But when your constituents speak, you really, especially with this amount of feeling, this is not out of control. I've seen school board meetings that have been much worse than this. I do feel that when the families who have children and students of the same age and younger as mine, I think it will get even more populated. So thank you for all of you who have been speaking up every time, because we've had our hands full for the last 6 months and we haven't been here. So thanks for holding down the fort, because this doesn't seem like something that seems like a Plymouth Township benefit.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate all of it.
Hi, my name is David Hart, and I did not plan to speak either. I've been sitting here and I just felt compelled. I came to learn as well to hear from the board. I came with a pretty neutral perspective. I didn't have extremely strong feelings one way or the other, more leaning against it. Hearing the overwhelming sentiment of the community against this, and knowing that the leaders in front of me, there seems to be overwhelming inertia already in place towards doing this. I just find that to be such a profound disconnect that it really is troubling to me. And I'm hearing discussion of gambling, I'm hearing discussion of water quality, all things that matter to me. Right? Crime, all things that at worst, you could say that these things are speculative. And you probably have answers, maybe good ones, to some, most, all, I don't know. But at worst, you can say that they're speculative. And I think, don't overestimate your ability to understand the outcomes that will come from this. There will be things that will happen, unintended consequences. And so what I'm seeing is that the real gambling is not at the casino. The gambling is taking place is by the leaders in front of me putting this in motion. There was a gentleman who said we're going to be stuck with this forever. I agree with that sentiment. I also heard that there's no strings attached to the, 200 and some thousand dollars potentially that we're going to get. All of these things, these concerns that people are raising, real or possible, are the strings that are attached to this. You're compelled as our leaders to be scared with us for those potential consequences. There may be a good number of them that come to fruition. And I moved to Plymouth Township as a parent because I liked all of the things and one that people have spoken about. And And I want to protect those things. The quiet, the dark skies, the lack of traffic. I enjoy it so much, and I feel that it's being threatened right now. So I just would ask you to recognize that while there was talk of even referendums and process, we can sometimes get so wrapped up in the process and the fact that we're in negotiations and that there's rules at play that we don't see the forest for the trees. You represent your constituents, and the will of the people is what matters the most. Please listen.
Good evening. My name is Joan Cummins. I've lived in Plymouth Township for over 25 years now. I love Plymouth Township. I love everything about it. What I don't love is the idea of a gambling establishment going into my community. When I moved into Plymouth, we moved into Plymouth because of my son. We felt it was a beautiful place to live. We had lived almost in Northfield Township and then moved into Trailwood about 21 years ago. This is a beautiful community that we live in. People are wonderful. It's what I think of Plymouth Township as being Americana. I really do. I mean, we're not an uppity community. We're a established community with people from all different walks of life. We have small houses, big houses, expensive houses, not so expensive houses. We have a Lover's Lane, and we have lots of churches. I mean, we have a lot of
Lover's Lane is in the city, I have to clarify.
Okay, Lover's Lane is in the city, you're right. But at any rate,
Their headquarters and their factory of some sort is in Plymouth Township.
Warehouse.
okay, well, there you go, so we still have it here. But anyway, I would just beg of you to please listen to people, and I will tell you this, not every Plymouth Township resident is here, but everyone that I have spoken to in my neighborhood and in other neighborhoods, because I know a lot of people in Plymouth Township, none of us are in favor of this. I don't see any benefit to the community, quite frankly, regardless of what you're saying. So I just ask you to listen to people, and I don't understand all the laws and all that. I wish this would have been able to come up for a vote, because I think that would have really given all the citizens an opportunity to say what they feel. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I had no intentions of speaking tonight.
I'm sorry, we need your
My name
name.
is Shirley Peters.
Okay.
And I've been to every planning meeting that has been offered to us. So I'm sorry that you haven't heard our concerns in the past. However, I grew up with Northville Racetrack. My father had 7 racehorses. And I am telling you, there's no way that a bad element will not come to this community. I watched it. And Northville didn't have a choice about the racetrack. The racetrack was there before Northville became a community of beautiful homes. I can't believe that all the gorgeous homes we have in Plymouth Township don't take care of our tax needs. My daughter's looking for a home right now. There's nothing under $500,000 in Plymouth Township. So the taxes are quite good even on our homes. I don't know why it always has to be about money. Why not what we really want? Is it's gone too far that it can't be put on a ballot so people can really make a decision about this? Because I think that most of us, I had no intention of coming here tonight, but I saw it on the news again, and I thought, I have to go up there because I feel it so deeply that this is the wrong thing for our community. And it will bring evil. It will bring, whether we want it or not, it will. That's all I have to say.
Okay, no, thank you.
I wasn't going to speak either because I came from playing in the yard. I apologize.
Get close to the mic. Pull it, but you can hang.
Will that work?
Not that close.
Okay. I moved to Plymouth Township about 2.5 years ago after living in Ann Arbor for the past 40-plus years. For 40 years, I was a special educator, teacher consultant, supervisor, director across Washtenaw County. My wife recently retired from Plymouth Canton after 25 years as their special ed director. We moved, when I retired, we moved here because it's in the middle between Ann Arbor, where all our friends and family are, and Plymouth, where all our other family and friends are. We sold the quote big house in Ann Arbor, and we bought a little condo here because we wanted to have the time and the money to go see our grandchild in Boston, and we're out there every 4 to 6 weeks. We currently live in the Uplands, which is just off North Territorial Ridge. Since we've moved to where we are, and I love it there, I've been feeling like that part of this township is the bastard stepchild. We're right there at the confluence of 4 townships, each one of them doing their thing. Several of them not pleasant in any sense, no matter how much money comes in or whatever. The numbers of trash trucks and noisy everything that come through our neighborhoods is unreal. And it doesn't even come through in front of my house, it comes down the street. I said this in a letter to the board. If this proposal and that land was next to homes that typically are selling in this school district for $800,000 to $1 million versus one of the largest manufactured home communities, I think, that we have in the township, I think, this would never have made it this far, ever, because money talks, apparently. I don't have a lot of money. I retired, I did service forever, and I'm sorry, sir, I'm not trying to shame you or anything, but if you think this meeting is out of control, you have not been to a school board meeting of late, okay? This ain't nothing.
Okay.
I say, please, please do not do this. Keep our community safe and calm and pleasant and a place where people want to be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to item F1. This is the Eagle Grant and Loan Acceptance Brownfield Plan Amendment for the Hillside Overlook Apartments, otherwise known as the Courthouse Grill Site, 41661 Plymouth Road. So we have here, Ann, why don't you come up here? We have the representative of the applicant. Do we have anybody else? You got to come up here. So in essence, what this is I know Ann will explain this in greater detail, Ann Jamison Urena, but this is a resolution to approve a reimbursement agreement with the state of Michigan, Department of Great Lakes Energy and Environment for the loan for the remediation of the brownfield site at the Courthouse Grill. So
Yes.
Ann, just please speak loudly into the mic so we can continue with the meeting.
Okay, good evening.
You got to speak louder than that.
Okay, good evening, and thank you for having me here tonight. I'm here representing the development team and also on behalf of Eagle. Basically, the board last summer, if you recall, approved a brownfield plan for the Courthouse Grill site for the redevelopment of that property to address and remediate environmental contamination at the property.
Folks, could you please take your conversations outside and be respectful of our speaker?
Doing that. the timeout is, I want to know who's paying your salary? Who do you work for?
Okay,
You said Eagle.
Chuck, hold on, just hold on.
Wait for the question.
I mean,
Let her finish her
I'm trying-
presentation.
Oh, I want to hear who she's from.
Well, we want to hear
You
your
took
question.
a break. We took a break.
We want to hear your question too, Chuck, so.
All right.
All right. Okay, now we're good. All right. Please continue.
I'm just going to open my computer here for a second.
So again, who's paying your salary? I'm trying to understand. You said
I will
Eagle.
kindly address you in a moment. Thank you. I just
Does the
wanna
lady
open
get
my-
3 minutes uninterrupted?
No, just hold on.
Just chill out.
She went into her presentation without saying what she's doing. So I'm trying to understand it.
She's going to answer your question.
Give me a big set of vocal cords.
Jeez,
She's going to answer your question.
Did he kick you when he stood up?
Just bear with me. I just want to bring this up. Okay, so let me start again. Now I have my material open in front of me. I'm Ann Jameson. I am working on behalf of the development team who is doing the redevelopment on the Courthouse Grill property. We've been working in collaboration with Eagle, which is the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy in the state of Michigan, as this site is considered a contaminated site and is a brownfield site. So over the last several years, we've been working with the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority in Plymouth Township, as well as the Board of Trustees, in having the project approved for tax increment financing and also getting support from the board to apply for an Eagle grant and loan. Over the last 6 months, we've been working directly with Eagle, working out the nuances of what Eagle will support in terms of the Eagle grant and loan for this project to address and remediate the environmental contamination on the property prior to development of the multifamily apartment building. So we have essentially, we're all the way through the process with Eagle. The last step on getting the contracts awarded and the money is allocated from the state of Michigan to the board, to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, who will be the administrators of the funds, is to have the Board of Trustees approved by resolution acceptance of that grant and loan. The grant awarded was in the amount of $525,000. The loan awarded is in the amount of $1 million. So this is the last step really to prepare the project for development. This is gap financing that's provided by the state of Michigan. And will really only be going towards environmental remediation. At one time, they had thought that we would use funds towards other items, but that's off the table now. So.
Can you talk a little bit about, it's characterized as a loan, which implies that somebody is ultimately liable for that loan in the event that things go.
That's a good question. So, as you may recall, or you may not recall.
Stop. Mr. Zantop, please take your meeting outside.
You guys are
Please
talking.
take your
We're in
meeting
the middle of the
outside, you're
meeting.
being disruptive. You're being disruptive.
Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. As you may or may not recall, this board approved by resolution the Brownfield Plan. The Brownfield Plan leverages the new tax increment revenues off of the development. It does not touch the existing taxable value. So it's only the incremental increase in the taxable value that can be captured by the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. And those taxes are going to be utilized to reimburse Eagle for the $1 million loan.
I get all that, but what if the money is advanced and there is no capture because of something changes?
Right, if, for example, if the project doesn't move forward.
It
Yeah.
fails.
So the loan funds that are going to be allocated towards this particular project are to install what's known as a vapor mitigation system under the building. So without construction financing in place, the loan draws will not occur.
But the interest would still accrue.
The interest does not start accruing until Plymouth Township's Brownfield Redevelopment Authority transfers the money from Eagle and the first draw is issued. So there is no interest accrued until that period of time. In addition, the loan terms are the first 5 years is interest and principal payment free. That's basically a function to allow for the development to start generating tax revenue to get the ability to reimburse the loan with those revenues.
Does it make sense to advance the $1 million at once instead of taking it in phases as it needs to be drawn on?
That's a discretionary discussion that we will have with the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority.
Okay.
Once the contracts are in place, there will be subsequent grant loan contracts associated basically between Eagle and the Brownfield Authority that will lay out how those dollars can be transferred over to the authority.
Yeah, and I think, just to clarify for everybody's benefit, it's a loan, but the township is not on the hook for.
Oh, yes, we are. If you read the covenants, it says we are in here.
So the intent is that the township is not on the hook for the loan. It's the obligation of the development team to make that loan whole through the property taxes that they're paying on the property that are capturable by the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. To clarify, loans in general through the state of Michigan, I've worked in this industry for 25 years. I've worked for a number of municipalities as well as for private developers, so I wear both hats and understand how administration of these loans work. There has never been an example or an incident where Eagle came back to the township or a city or village and basically said that you have to provide payment for those dollars, unless it was a direct loan to a municipality who was taking it out for their own.
So procedurally, the money will go into a fund designated by the township. Is that a Plymouth Township line item, or is that a Plymouth Township Brownfield Authority line item?
It goes into, essentially, it would go into the similar, basically how the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority has their own fund that's set aside for brownfield tax capture. It would go into a similar type of fund associated with the authority.
So then you would be drawing down from that account, so to speak?
So the process is essentially work plans have to be, once the contract's signed, before any type of draw can occur, work plans have to be submitted to the state of Michigan, to Eagle, for review and approval of the work that's being conducted. Once those work plans were approved by Eagle, 3 bids then have to go out for certification on contractors. We then have to go back to Eagle for Eagle to approve the contractors that are chosen and selected for those activities. So there's a tremendous amount of checks and balances in the process that isn't on the onerous of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority or the township. It really goes to the state that is, allocating the money.
Okay. Any other questions for the
Yes.
I
applicant?
do, I have one. Listen, I really don't understand some of this stuff, so I'm sure other people have some questions.
Yeah, that's fair.
Why is the township even placed in a position to have a loan in the first place? I mean, as a, legally, that the fact that, historically, the fact that nothing has ever happened before doesn't mean it's not gonna happen. Okay, and
I
I
understand that,
guess
yeah.
maybe you can explain to me why Plymouth Township has to even be involved in it.
So, per the statutory requirements, applicants for grants and loans can be either a brownfield redevelopment authority, or a local unit of government, or a DDA. When there's a loan component, even if the applicant is a downtown development authority or a brownfield redevelopment authority, the local unit of government has to support that loan in addition to the brownfield authority.
Has to? Has to.
It's well, by resolution, has to concur that they'll accept the loan on behalf of the brownfield authority that Eagle is providing to the development for the gap financing.
We are guaranteeing the loan like a cosigner. Let me read this to you. Eagle has requested that the Board of Trustees formally approve the acceptance of the $1 million grant, which it's really not that, it's a $500,000 grant, and and it should say $1 million loan contract with Eagle, and acknowledge the obligation to repay the loan to Eagle over a 15-year period. So
That's the life of the
That's-
brownfield plan.
Right.
And the tax capture
Okay.
that's gonna be generated
But
at the site.
the point is, we are obligated, we're obligated, this will show on our books as a liability.
It will show as a liability on your books with the mechanism of the tax increment revenues available to repay it. So as the property taxes are captured by your authority doesn't distribute those property taxes unless they have evidence that eligible activities were incurred. There's a vote that goes through. Again, there are tremendous checks and balances. Again, the loan dollars are not allocated or approved for release from the state unless the state gets evidence that the eligible activities that were performed on the project are acceptable in their eyes, and that they also get audited and everything has to be vetted properly.
Yeah, so, yeah, I understand what's going on, but you represent the developer, you're getting paid by the developer, and you don't represent us, so we have to be careful of what we're signing up to.
I understand that.
And things happen, they have happened, where developments fail or don't go forward because of economic crises or whatever.
Right, and that's why I stated previously that the draws on the loans and the grants won't occur until the construction financing comes in. So that is something that we can provide to this board from the development team, that once that construction financing is, awarded for this project and they've closed on their loans, that would give you more assurance. By accepting this loan, it does not obligate this board in any means or way to disperse the dollars. You can set up additional requirements on the development team to say, hey, before we release any loan dollars, you have to provide evidence of construction financing.
Yeah, but it still
Prove that your
circles,
project's gonna move
I mean,
forward.
it still circles back to that issue that if the proceeds from the loan are dispersed to the developer and the project fails and there's no tax increment to capture to repay the loan with.
I
then at that
understand what
point-
you're saying, exactly
Yeah.
what you're saying, and we've had that concern in many of the communities that I've represented. But your safety net is the loan dollars are specifically going to be used as part of the integration of the construction of the building. Underneath the building, there needs to be excavation of contaminated soil. And we would not remove that contaminated soil unless the actual construction activities are gonna commence, because it's below grade, and if you recall, that whole area
Yeah,
is
yeah.
built into a hill.
Get all that. You know, I mean, I'm repeating myself, but and all that makes sense, but still, there is a small risk, that, you know, that the project, if the project were half built and then it went bankrupt, there's nothing to, you know, there's nothing to repay the loan with. There's no proceeds, there's no tax revenue.
So then you would have to beg the state to write it off.
You'd have to do something like that. You'd have to get forgiveness from Eagle, and you said, you know, Eagle would forgive the loan, but you still have to get the forgiveness. As small of a risk it is, it's still a risk.
If this board did not approve this resolution, what's your other means of obtaining the funds?
Well, this is one of our primary means of, you know, addressing the contamination. As the development team is going through and securing their construction financing, there is a risk to getting developments off the ground that have contamination associated with them. When we go to a lending institution and we say we've partnered with Eagle, we've partnered with the local unit of government, and they're on board with supporting this project to help get the remediation cleaned up in partnership with the construction loan, the banks look at that as, you know, less risk and a positive for them to fund the development. So it's a balance between, you know, really addressing the contaminations, make sure that, you know, we can move forward with the development safely, that all the remediation has occurred. In addition, I always think of it as a benefit that we're working directly with Eagle. You know, there's that checks and balances in place.
You know, you're very good. You've been doing this for 25 years, but you simply did not answer my question.
Can you restate your question, please?
Yes, the question is, what if this board does not approve this resolution, what is the other means that the developer can
would
obtain
have
financing?
Yeah, they'd have to get an additional $1 million in construction financing to deal with the contamination, which really hurts their, you know, return on
Bottom line,
investment.
yep. But then, you know, we put our township at risk.
What's the cost of what's the total investment on the project, including
Total-
remediation?
The remediation cost?
No, construction, remediation, turnkey, 25 million?
I believe it's 37 million.
37 million. So this is an incremental 1 million
Right.
towards that. But the way it's written here is we are committed to pay this back. So the grant, if we turn this down today, what happens to the grant of 500,000?
Unfortunately, I don't know that, because typically Eagle will not just grant money to a project. They want it to come in as either 50-50 grant, 50-50 loan. We were able to negotiate additional loan dollars because they, you know, thought this project was a good project for the community. And so the negotiation was, they gave us up to $1 million and then came in with 525,000. Originally, they would only loan on this. When we came back to the board 2 years ago, they were only going to allocate $1 million loan. They were not going to give us a $525,000 grant. We stated last summer that we would pause the application to reapply in hopes that we would also bring a grant to the project, which reduces the obligation of the tax burden as well, because we're reducing the reimbursement amount by 525,000. So that was a win-win, but our concern is if we fully pull out of what actually the board already authorized us to proceed with, which was the $1 million loan application and $1 million grant application, the packet.
The board, you mean the Brownfield?
Brownfield redevelopment
Plymouth Township
authority
Brownfield.
And this board was also made aware of it during the approval of the brownfield plan.
What do you mean made aware? Did we vote on something or? what are you talking
Yes, in your,
We approved the brownfield plan.
Well, we approved the brownfield
Brownfield
plan, but a
plan.
$1 million loan obligation was not something we
it was
approved.
just a authorization to proceed with the application.
Right, which
That
is,
that was in there.
brownfields work great. We've done many in Plymouth Township. We've never had to commit our full faith and credit to a loan for a developer to proceed with a big project.
You're going to vote no?
These are $2,500 a month apartments.
Okay.
I am not.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions from board members?
No.
Mr.
Supervisor,
Stewart,
I have a
yes, sir.
question for you and the treasurer. I would only assume, knowing local government as I do for decades,
Really?
that you have thoroughly vetted this proposal. That you and the treasurer, and I would appreciate your recommendation as to how I should vote. And if there are no objections, I would be glad to read the motion.
Before you do that, are there any other questions from board members? Okay, then go ahead and make the motion.
So wait a minute.
But you want to know how you should
So
vote.
your recommendation is to support same?
I wouldn't have this on the agenda if I was not recommending.
Thank you. And same with you, Mr. Treasurer? Okay, the motion is, I move to adopt resolution number 2023-07-11-51, approving the attached EGLE, Environment, Great Lakes and Energy Grant and Loan Acceptance of Brownfield Plan Amendment for the Hillside Overlook Apartments, the Courthouse Grill Site, 41661 Plymouth Road. I would add that you are meeting a need for housing, which has been discussed in many forums statewide.
Okay, motion's been made by trustee Stewart. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by treasurer Dorchevitz. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
No.
Trustee Kermy.
No.
Clerk Borba, yes. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay. All right, next item is F2. This is the Wine Merchants Market New Class C liquor license. Mr. Al Jonah is here tonight.
Hope you brought some samples. We need them.
Where's your class at?
I'm LDS lifestyle.
I guess.
Need my spelling, or are you good?
Al, do you have any other representatives here with you tonight? No. You're on your own. Okay.
Hi. My name is Al Jonah, and I have owned the picnic basket since 1988. In these 35 years I have been serving the township of Plymouth, I have made thousands of friends in this community. The customers that have been with me over the years have seen many changes with the market, and they always were positive improvements. I am here to ask for one more improvement. I would like to add a small bar in an existing cafe that is in the front of the store to bring in new food and beverage customers. This will be similar to many of the supermarkets that have bars in them. If you Google bars and markets, you will see many images of those that are not only in this country, but all over the world. The size will only be 500 square feet and will only hold maybe 20 to 30 people. It will have a very limited food and drink menu. If you are wondering why I would do all this for a small area, it is because I will be able to have wine tastings with food pairings, and some of these wines will have their growers there to educate how the wine was made. There will also be bourbon tastings. The Michigan laws prevent me from doing this now unless I have this license. This bar most likely will lose money or hopefully break even, but I will attract more customers to my store, which then would increase my wine sales. I have been a great asset to the community, and last year was nominated Plymouth Business of the Year by the Plymouth Chamber. I hope my reputation and track record speaks for itself when you consider this. I cannot tell you how many people approach me every day and tell me how happy they are that I am there for them. I have realtors tell me all the time that one of their selling points is that Picnic Basket Market is down the street. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, Mr. Jonah, any questions from the board?
Yes.
Bob?
How are you going to lay out this, and I'll also like to hear from the police chief, of keeping minors out of the bar?
Yeah, we will.
And when are they allowed when are you allowed to have a minor in the bar? The old days, it was till 9 o'clock.
Yeah, well.
But how are you gonna handle this?
Well, I mean.
Or maybe it's
I'm
not an
also
issue,
gonna
tell me about it.
I mean, when you go to Red Robin and order a burger, you can order a drink. I mean, it's the same thing. I'm gonna have people ID. No one will be able to order a drink without presenting ID. I'm not doing this for profit. I am doing this to be able to have a wine club, to do other things with this. This is only 20 to 30, I don't know, like I said, if this will even make money, but I want to have the experience where I can grow with my wine sales.
All right, so you don't expect it to be an issue with children who wander around in grocery stores. Can you tell me a grocery store that has this in southeast Michigan?
Kroger had it. I think they closed it down because it didn't do well. There's Plum Market, Whole Foods.
Bushes and Canton.
Bushes and
You know,
Canton.
it's gonna be like the small, like when you go to like Plum Market at the Delta Terminal, just a little bar, nothing fancy, just to be able to present, showcase some things that some of the vendors want me to market, you know.
So it won't operate all day long?
No. It will close with the store at 9, probably open for lunch at noon.
And be closed
Yes.
most of the day?
Yeah, like I said, it's
So
not.
2 hours at lunch, and then closed at 1 o'clock or something?
Yeah, I think I can do that because it's not that I need the money to make it, a business.
No.
I could make my own hours, so I could do Tuesday wine tasting, I could do Thursday beer tasting, something, craft beer, something like that.
We're not telling you what to do. I want to
I
make
know.
that
Yeah,
clear.
I'm just trying to understand what your
We're
business.
asking questions,
So,
but
that's
I
fine,
don't want
that's
you to
fine.
interpret these
No,
questions
and,
as demands.
No, it's just, you need to tell me I'm trying to understand what your
Yeah. so-
operating plan is.
Okay.
You're the one seeking the license.
Says it's going to be 11 to 9.
I'm sorry.
The business plan says here the hours will be 11 and closing at 9.
Yes.
But he just said he's gonna close after, he would only open at lunch.
No, I didn't say that.
And then close after. I'm trying to understand.
I did not say that.
Time people eat lunch.
Yeah,
Right.
11 o'clock.
I'm sorry?
Makes sense to me.
Can you hear me?
The
Yeah, I
store
can
is
hear
open
you.
Yeah,
from,
so my question is, I frequent the picnic basket. I love it. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for serving our community there. So you're replacing the coffee, pastry, cafe area with this.
Yes.
So what is your typical clientele? Is this something that they're actually going to be interested in? I mean, I know you get a lot of workers that come in for pizza sticks and teenagers. Do you think there'll be a
So.
need for this?
The image is not kids coming to the bar. The image is that when customers come into my store and they stand there and talk for 30 minutes, now they can say, let's just walk over here and have a glass of wine, So that's the image, not, it's not a bar like that. I'm not doing beer pitchers or nothing like that,
No
so-
karaoke?
You made me laugh.
Al, are you
If I don't go by the laws, then I'm sure the chief of police can close me down.
Al, are you gonna put up a wall or something?
Yeah, the MLCC will require some kind of barrier, yeah.
okay, so that's part of the question I had about, that's how you keep it separate.
Yeah, I will follow all the MLCC rules.
So will it be a
They
solid
have a lot of
wall, or
rules.
is it gonna be a solid wall or like a?
No, it doesn't have to be solid, it just has to be a barrier,
A barrier?
yeah.
A wall of wine glasses and bottles.
And what is your relationship to Isom Jonah?
That is my brother.
Okay, any other questions from the board? They'll need a motion on this.
Mr. Supervisor, I move to adopt resolution number 2023-07-11-52, authorizing the township clerk to sign the MCLL application for a Class C liquor license for Wine Merchants Market Incorporated, also known as the Picnic Basket, And authorize the township clerk to execute the same.
Okay, motion's made by Treasurer
Second.
Dorchevitz. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Monahan. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Trustee Buckley?
Yes.
Trustee Kermy?
Yes.
Trustee Monahan?
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
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 Thank you.
We look forward to that.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, my kids say, you gotta have more pizza sticks, because they get there and they're gone.
Really, I'll make sure that don't happen.
Excuse me, brevity is a blessing. 1988, I was appointed a special prosecutor for Plymouth Township.
Okay.
It is incumbent on the duties of the chief of police to occasionally shop. The chief of police back in 1988 delegated the responsibility to me. And I went to my church and found teenagers to go into the Plymouth Rock Saloon on Joy Road. And they were serving minors. A 16-year-old girl crossed over the line on Joy Road and killed a school teacher. I prosecuted. You never know
Okay.
when you could be shopped. It is the job of the chief, if he occasionally thinks that there could be a problem. So we have laws. We follow the laws and we follow the legal procedures. Thank you very much.
Okay, okay.
I won't
All
let no
right.
one down.
Good luck. Thank you,
Thank you,
Al.
thank you.
Thank you, Al. All righty, next item is the first reading of Resolution 2023-07-1153, repealing the Township Emergency Management Ordinance. Why are we doing this? Because the Plymouth Township Emergency Management function has been delegated to Wayne County for well over a decade, placing us in conflict with an earlier Township Emergency Management Ordinance that we believe, according to Chief Conley, was adopted sometime in 2006. That is Section 3501 to 3513 of our Code of Ordinances. As we are planning to renew our emergency management agreement with Wayne County next month, we felt this would be a good time to repeal this ordinance on the books that we are no longer following. We'll be happy to answer any questions, but this would be the first step in that process. So the first reading would occur tonight. Kevin, our attorney, has drafted everything up. First reading would be tonight. Second reading will probably be at the next meeting in July. And then in August, we'll adopt a resolution that has been requested by Wayne County just to clean this whole thing up, because we have delegated the emergency management function to Wayne County for a long time, and this would finally update that and formalize that. So we want to get rid of the ordinance now. We want to start that process because it is in conflict with the emergency management resolution that we will ultimately be adopting with Wayne County.
Hearing no objection, I'd be
Oh,
glad
hold
to-
on,
Well,
hold on, I have a question. Chief Conley, Wayne County doesn't give me strong confidence in anything they do. Are we secure here? Is this a good idea?
We've been under this since 2006. We're just cleaning up language at
Right.
this point. We found that the ordinance is in conflict with adopting the county's plan. This is done throughout the county. Since we haven't had an emergency manager in the department since, I believe, 2005 when Chuck Van Vleck retired.
So this is okay, we feel secure with Wayne County at the
They say
helm.
we've been operating under this plan. This is just cleaning up a conflict of our ordinance with the plan.
Okay. All righty. Can I have a motion on this?
I move to approve resolution number 2023-07-11-53, the first reading of an ordinance repealing the Township Emergency Management Ordinance, sections 35.01 to 35.13 of the Code of Ordinances.
Okay, motion's made by Trustee Stewart. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Monahan. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heisey?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz?
Yes.
Trustee Monahan?
Yes.
Trustee Buckley?
Yes.
Trustee Kermy?
Yes.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Motion carries.
All righty, we are back to the second round of public comment. If people are interested, again, 3 minutes.
Did I miss the DTE easement?
That was in the consent agreement.
Consent agreement.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Public comments.
Yeah.
I can talk twice.
Yeah, we'll,
Okay.
Beginning and end.
Okay.
In the agenda.
Got it.
Walt Coleman again, still looking for that Cupid doll.
What's a Cupid doll?
During the last meeting here, it ended with Trustee Kermy making a statement about wanting to reduce taxes because a water millage or something had been fulfilled.
Oh, Western Township Utilities Association bond has been paid off. In fact, Bob, we're going to talk about that, right? When you come with water rates?
July 25th.
Next
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, you're all lawyers here, and I know that we've heard ad nauseum that degrees matter. So I'd like to know, Supervisor Heisey put forward that he wanted to hold back on repealing that because you may have had some other uses for the money. I'm asking the rest of the lawyers here, can he legally do that?
Okay, let me answer my own question. I don't appreciate playing gotcha.
Bob, you weren't here.
Okay,
I wasn't
but
here either.
the fact of the matter is that we've done our research, and the money that is allocated on all of our water bills right now, that we all pay, goes to pay off the bonds for the Western Township's Utilities Authority, water and sewer improvements that have been made. Those bonds have been paid off. I wanted to make sure before we close the door on anything that we are still not obligated for anything else. Next
Perfect.
week,
Then all you had to do was clarify that
well,
in
you
your statement.
know, it's great to armchair quarterback that and
Hey,
think back on the
I'm no
fly.
armchair
Like,
quarterback.
oh, wow,
I'm not
you
a
know.
lawyer. I deal with
So
engineering.
you don't have to be a lawyer to do that, but it's prudent to make sure that before you close the door on something as important
what?
as public
That
health and
explanation
safety,
is
that
perfectly
you know
logical. I get
that you can
You're-
do
You
that.
are correct in
So
saying that.
next week,
Why
we're going to
didn't
talk
you
about
say
the
that
water and
during
sour.
the last meeting to
Wow,
clarify?
because my psychic abilities are just not what they used to be, sir. Seriously. I mean, you know, come on.
You're
Okay.
a lawyer. You deal with words
Oh, my
day in
goodness.
and day out. You
Okay.
should know that.
Okay.
And when people are watching and not hearing that, they're watching in the gallery on the video and everything like that, you need to add that
No,
clarification so
the
we can
problem is,
understand.
you were asking a question when the analysis was in mid-flight. The analysis is not all completed yet because the Watua budget meeting is tomorrow. And after tomorrow, there'll be a closure to the Watua budget meeting, which then goes into the cost model, and then we figure out
I
the pricing.
understand that.
But
That
when you
makes
ask
perfect
somebody-
sense
When an
after the
analysis is
fact.
in mid-flight, and you ask somebody
That
for a
makes
conclusion,
perfect
they
sense
can't
after
answer
the
that
fact.
question.
Why isn't it clarified in the process so that people watching this on TV can understand it?
All right. You don't like my answer, so I'm sorry.
It's not a matter of liking.
But
It's a
Bob,
matter of
to
the
clarify,
specificity of it.
the water rate.
Mid-flight, Chuck,
Yeah,
you're asking
yeah, I know.
for a
Really,
conclusion
no,
before we have the numbers.
No.
That's
All I did, it was a
irresponsible.
point. No, that isn't what we're talking about.
that is-
The water
that is
rate is
irresponsible,
independent
Chuck.
of Watua. The
Chuck,
water rate's
it's
independent.
irresponsible to ask for.
No,
a
you
conclusion
weren't
before
here, you
the
didn't
numbers
understand
are
what was
applied.
said.
All right, guys. All right, we're all
It
done
was,
with that.
it was just a question of, oh, by the way, we need to look at that in
Okay.
the analysis.
Yes.
And the answer was, send an email to Bob, which I didn't do.
I was watching the video, I was homesick, I was watching.
Okay,
the
so I didn't
meeting,
need to send an
And you
email.
never sent an email to me.
Yeah, but
I
so,
looked for it the
wait a
next
minute.
day.
Okay, all righty.
Instead, you
Anybody
launched it
else?
here and then attacked during a meeting.
No.
Oh,
Here
I'm
we go.
sorry.
This stuff, if I have to have an email, you know better, you know what to do.
Motion to adjourn?
No,
No, there's
One more
one more that
One more
needs-
gentleman here.
I just have a quick question on the courthouse grill.
sorry.
What was the contamination at its brownfield site?
Well, the woman has left the building, but it's my understanding that you have contaminated fill that is mostly on, well, the backside of the property, and then underneath and around the parking lot area.
Well, allegedly, there was a plume flowing across Plymouth Road at one time.
I've asked that question and I've had different answers to that. I'm not totally ruling out the plume issue coming from across the street because we know that is a very contaminated area.
That was the basis of my question is cleaning up in a contaminated area for $2 million seems really cheap.
Well, it may not be, that's why I say, they've done the research on this, and I think what we're really looking at is mostly contaminated fill. And, you know, they're not obligated to turn it in, you know, make it pristine. I mean, they have to remove what is the most hazardous, and then they're going to be covering it up.
Okay, so let's say they get into this in they dig into it and they find out, hey, this is $5 million instead of $2 million. Are we liable for the
No,
$5 million?
all of that research has already been done. It's contaminated fill. I mean, there's no smoking gun under there. So
Okay, I was just
they've all done their due diligence, which is required by law. Eagle would not even be talking to these guys if they hadn't done their basic due diligence.
One of the reasons the construction is so expensive is that fill is unstable, so they will have to put foundations very deep.
Okay.
So they will be expensive.
Okay. All right, all set? Okay, now we're going to move on to board comments. Let's start with trustee Buckley.
Yeah, so moving on to some positive stuff. I'll be conducting interviews pretty shortly for our newly established Veterans Commission. Looking forward to that, hoping to have some appointments here real soon. I did want to address, the last couple of weeks, emphasize and encourage a return to civil discourse here as paramount to effective democracy. I heard a lot of patronizing and insulting. And in fact, on the way to my car last week, was heckled and harassed while I walked alone. And some of you in the audience were standing there with that group and did nothing about it. And it's very shameful, okay? No one should be treated that way. Okay, I am here to represent the people, yes. Okay, if I make a motion that, or a vote that doesn't sit well with you, let's just have civil discourse about it. Okay, there's no need for that type of stuff. I even have several of you stare me down, and I think it's ridiculous.
Okay.
Case in point. All right.
You're being disruptive.
So what's the process for selecting who's on this commission? What's the process?
Well, the process is an interview. I'm just, seeing
We're looking
their
at resumes.
level
We're getting
of-
resumes right now.
And then you're gonna bring the candidates to the board?
Yeah, just
Okay.
like any other
Okay.
board or commission,
All right.
yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
Okay.
And how many non-veterans will you be considering?
Well, as many as have applied, which is none.
Zero.
So they're,
So far, none.
they're all veterans so far.
And how many applications now?
I think we're at about 9, and we're still
Maybe
awaiting a
10,
few.
maybe 10, yeah.
Yeah, some
We're
people
still
have
waiting
shown
on a couple
interest,
more.
but they're kind of delayed on their application, so I'm just.
Well, we had some people that were out of town too. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Stewart.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. You like to hear positive news? Well, there's 5 Plymouth Township police officers who showed up and walked the 1 mile for the parade, and we have an honor guard. And I think that was a good representation in front of maybe a couple thousand people on the 4th of July parade. I'd like to talk about 3 Plymouth Township residents, long time, and I'll save the best for last. First of all, Krista McKinley, Lieutenant Colonel, completed the 61-mile Philmont hike with 8 scouts. Wade Myers, 58-year-old attorney, did the same. 61 miles, Philmont. Honorable people working with scouts. And finally, my wife and I are very honored to be invited to the 90th birthday party of the most honorable man, according to Judge Lowe, in Plymouth Township history. Judge James Garber will have a birthday party. It will be an undisclosed, beautiful Plymouth Township park this Sunday afternoon.
Good.
So I can narrow it down
I
to
didn't get
3.
invited.
Yeah, I was just saying,
I'm really bummed out. Okay, let's go to Audrey Monahan.
I have nothing.
Okie dokie.
I'm speechless.
All righty. Mr. Kermy?
Nothing.
Nothing? Oh my goodness. Bob?
The taxes are rolling in. We just, through good luck of the markets, the banks are now paying significant interest on our investments. So in the last 12 months, we've earned over $1 million in interest income, which is 10 times what we've learned in previous years. So that's been very fortunate. And taxes are rolling in, and we're just business as usual.
That $1 million goes in the general fund?
It depends on which
fund it
goes
came
into
from?
whichever fund earned it. So what the report I sent out, there's a new section in it on the second page that shows by fund where those earnings are. If you go look at that.
And I saw that our pension is currently 75%
Yeah,
funded.
76.
That's amazing.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
And
I
then
read your memos.
And
I
then
read your emails.
Thank you.
OPEB is
You're
what?
the one.
OPEB is what, 29%
20,
funded?
yeah, something like that.
So
In the
4 years
20s.
ago, it was at zero, so that's
Zero.
terrific. Because that honors our obligations to our first responders and their families to provide them with health care coverage in their retirement. And that's the prudent and responsible thing to do, so. Okay, Mr. Clerk, speaking of prudent and responsible.
Thank you so very much. Well, tomorrow I'll be meeting with the rest of the Wayne County clerks. We have quarterly meetings, and we'll be doing that here in Plymouth Township. It is our turn to host, and so we go to the different communities over the years. And so we'll be discussing a lot of the changes that have occurred with both legislation and with the vote that the people made 2 years ago in calling for early voting. And I know that we're going to have some legislators there, and we're going to be asking some serious questions about how they're going to promulgate the rules in order to effectuate a nice, smooth, and secure election. So we'll be doing that. And I just want to say that, thanks to everybody who do take the time to come to the meetings and speak out. The board really does appreciate that. You're taking time out of your day and you come here and speak your minds, and we really do appreciate that.
Yes. Okay, just to reiterate what I said at the outset of the meeting, if anybody ever wants to know what's coming up on an agenda, we can give you a pretty good idea even before the formal agenda is written, but that is always subject to, change. But we have to comply, we always comply with the Open Meetings Act, and we go above and beyond what the law requires. Our agendas are published online and on our Facebook page, typically the Friday morning before a meeting, so you have all day Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. It wasn't always that way. I remember sitting up late at night or on an early Monday morning waiting for the previous administration to put their agenda online, because it was always a game of cat and mouse with those guys, but nothing new there. Also, again, as Jerry pointed out, decisions that we make up here are not always easy, and we try to do these things in a very transparent manner. The racetrack in particular has come to the Planning Commission twice. It was approved unanimously twice. It's come to this board. It's been approved here. I would say now we've probably had, what do you think, Bob, like 9 hours of public testimony on this thing, including tonight?
It's been a lot.
But I want to say too that in order to, ask questions, please, if you email me, email me. My email is out there for everybody to see. Send me an email. I answer the emails, typically within 24 to 48 hours. Now, you might not agree with me, you might not like the answer, but I do respond. And these are not form letters. I don't have some ghostwriter writing this. I do it myself, and that's the way I've always operated. So, let's continue that dialogue, but let's do that in a constructive manner. And I'm always willing to answer your questions online or give me a call. If you want to meet face-to-face, I suppose we can set that up through my office. But, email really is the modern, effective way of getting the word out. So,
Can I add a thought to that? Yeah, just one thing I would like to add to that is that you got to keep in mind that we're people too, and we live in the community. And what happens with me, and I try to listen to things everyone has to say, but it's natural that when somebody gets up and they just start insulting people, I just shut down. I don't listen to another word they say.
Really?
There was a woman, an older woman earlier today that I never saw before, and she got up and spoke, and she had really good points, and she was very polite, she was very professional. I listened to every word that she said.
Yeah.
Later, there was a gentleman, or another woman, and I counted 16 insults, and 16 people that were insulted in 3 minutes. And that doesn't accomplish anything. It accomplishes absolutely nothing. And in fact, with a lot of people, it makes you, if you're starting to agree with that person, it makes you not agree with them when they're standing up there insulting neighbors in the community. So just keep it, keep it in a polite way. We'll be polite to you, but don't insult people. It's just not, it's not cool.
Okay, I'm not done yet.
Oh, sorry.
Alrighty. You may have heard that we have received $10 million from the state of Michigan in the 2023-24 budget. That money will be used towards the rebuild of 5 Mile Road between Beck and Napier as part of the MITC redevelopment zone, which I know, I was really interested. I heard a lot of folks here tonight talking about the fact that they've been here maybe 2 years, 3 years, 6 years. I feel like an old timer now, but I remember when these sites were prison properties, and when we had an ugly derelict prison called DeHoco, we had an ugly derelict prison called Robert Scott Prison, which was a former women's prison. I'm so old, I remember when Canton and Livonia wanted to turn the Robert Scott Prison into a regional jail because Canton and Livonia didn't want to pay to lock prisoners up in northern Michigan. So thank God we don't have that situation on our hands. When I was state representative, I transferred the DeHoco prison properties to the Michigan Land Bank. The state of Michigan still owns properties along 5 Mile, and I wrote the law that transferred the Robert Scott Prison to Northville Township. Northville Township bought that property for $1, and they demolished, they hired Adamo Contracting to tear the building down, and they paid Adamo $1 to do that because Adamo made their money on the recycling. Since then, Northville has redeveloped that site. We now have a hotel. We have dozens of condos and homes there. We have retail and many other amenities on the Northville side. The good news about Northville, about DeHoco, is that I also obtained $2 million from the state of Michigan to tear the DeHoco prison down. As Jerry's an old cop, and he can tell you stories about when prisoners would escape from DeHoco and go into the neighborhoods, and we would have to do lockdowns, and we would have to do alerts into the neighborhoods because prisoners were loose in our community. The prison sites on both sides of 5 Mile each contain various levels of contamination. The prison site itself, DeHoco, as many you know, is the back of it is a landfill. It was an old landfill from the city of Detroit era. So there are certain challenges that we have along that corridor, but the $10 million from the state of Michigan will go a great way to rebuilding and widening and strengthening 5 Mile Road. So I want to thank our state senator, Rosemary Bear, State Representative Jason Morgan, and State Representative Kolazar for championing this funding. And also we have our folks from Wayne County who assisted in the lobbying effort because ultimately Wayne County has to rebuild the road. They own 5 Mile. They are responsible for 5 Mile. So Wayne County will be taking the lead on finishing the project and providing the necessary infrastructure and funding to finish that. I'm already in discussions with Wayne County CEO's office to help make that happen. So again, thank you very much to the state of Michigan. I think $10 million is a heck of a catch, and this will spur more economic development, growth, and job creation in an area that was formerly prison sites and various prison sites. The Recreation Master Plan, we have surveys out right now. We've had about 250 responses that can be found on our website and our Facebook page. We also have a public meeting next Tuesday, July 18th, from 6 to 8 p.m. that will be hosted by our planning consultants from McKenna Associates, and they will be doing design charrettes and other public input gathering for the Joint Recreation Master Plan update that we are currently doing with the city of Plymouth. We have to have that project done by the end of the year. So again, next Tuesday, July 18th from 6 to 8, that meeting will be here. The Salem Sewer, as many of you know, the Showstack Development Company is looking to possibly put a wastewater treatment facility right on our western border. That would be dumping 875,000 gallons of treated sewage water into Plymouth and Canton Townships. We have been vehemently fighting this application that is currently pending before Eagle. I again want to thank our legislative team in Lansing, which has been very effective in helping to slow that process down. I am still concerned, though, that there may be an effort by Showstack and Salem Township and their lobbyists in Lansing to tap into the Watua system, which is our publicly owned sewer system. That is a $225 million public asset that we own, and it only requires a unanimous vote of the township supervisors of Plymouth, Northville, and Canton to allow Salem or any other community to be serviced by the Watua system. I think that provides way too much authority in the hands of too few people, and I think also it's disturbing to me that the lobbyists for Showstack are also the lobbyists for Northville and Canton. So maybe they're a heartbeat away from taking over Watua. You never know. So I'm going to introduce or propose an ordinance. I'm going to send a memo to our attorney. That will show up in our agenda. That will not be a matter to be voted on. It's just going to be a request of our attorney at the next meeting.
What, to change the bylaws of Watua?
No, to adopt an ordinance that would require I'm throwing out some concepts right now. It would require a unanimous vote of the Board of Trustees following a 60-day public comment period and one public hearing.
But what's the alternative?
The alternative is that the three, right now, Showstack is still in Washtenaw County Circuit Court, and they're still trying to drill a sewer line through Superior Township.
To Yucca.
To the Yucca facility.
At the Willow Run Airport area.
Yes, sir. And so they have now proposed this wastewater treatment plant right on, Napier and M14.
But they want the default to be the sewer through Superior Township.
Well, they
don't really want to build that thing over there.
Well, we don't know that, and they've made an application to Eagle, so we have to take that seriously. I think the original plan was to tie into Watua, but the 2016 election changed all that. So with that, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn. Would you like to do that, sir?
What's on the agenda for the 25th? Are we having a meeting on July 25th?
Sure. Yeah, we are having a meeting on July 25th. We have some budget adjustments. We'll have the second reading of the emergency management repeal. We have a solar ordinance adoption. We've talked about this in the past. This deals with placement of solar panels and equipment on existing or future buildings.
The Planning Commission has already reviewed that?
They're going to review that next Wednesday. So we'll turn that around. And then water and sewer rates with Bob and Pat Fellrath and the whole gang.
The whole gang.
With that being said, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Stewart moves to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Monahan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.